The phones are open at 732-505-1160. Follow the show on Twitter and tweet your questions to @WOBM. Ask the Senator begins now. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310 and WOBMAM.com.
Welcome to the latest edition to our growing series of programs aimed at helping you reach the men and women you elect to act on your behalf in higher government. Ask the Senator marks the start of a monthly rotation of your state senators in Monmouth and Ocean counties, district by district. How are laws enacted in New Jersey affecting you at home? This is the time to call, email, or reach us via Twitter, WOBMAM.com. And the first in the limelight is a legislature who isn't known for taking the limelight. He's a worker. Senator Sam Thompson's 12th district includes all or part of 14 communities through Monmouth, Middlesex, Burlington, from Matawan out through Wrightstown. State House career began in 1998 when he won the state assembly seat. He moved to the Senate in 2012, if I remember.
Actually, it's 2011.
2011, okay, so the end of 2011?
That's right. We drew to the districts in 2010.
Right.
And 2011 is elected to start right office in 2012.
And currently, he serves on the joint committees of Housing Affordability and Public Schools, the Budget and Appropriations Committee, Environment and Energy, State Government, Wagering, Tourism, and Historic Preservation Committees, and several advisory commissions. Senator, welcome in. It's good to have you here.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
It's our way of kind of opening a door into the State House and seeing what goes on back there. And so a lot of the questions we're going to be doing here are kind of exploratory. Now,
let me say what you're doing, I think, is very important because, unfortunately, many of our citizens are uninformed of what goes on. I'll cite a problem I can see myself. When in my previous assembly area, I served for 14 years. If they did a poll after 14 years of my being elected and reelected 8 times, they would have found that 30% of the people said, Thompson? Yeah, I think I've heard that name. But if they asked the people one specific thing about what I'd voted for or how I did, et cetera, I prefer people to know what their legislators are doing and so on so they can act in an informed manner.
You take the pains to get through every town in your district. I've gone through every town in your district, and maybe not as closely as you have. So from my view, it looks kind of open, woodsy, rustic, not crowded, not urban, maybe a little bit upper income as opposed to the inner cities. So what is it like from the insider's view? Is it as great as it looks, or are there things in there that you're paying attention to that need the help?
Well, a good deal of it is as you describe it. We do have a lot of farm area and so on, more open country in our district as opposed to like Essex County or a Hudson County or something like that. But we have strong communities like in Old Bridge, that's part of my district. And Jackson is a very large town in terms of population. They've got close to 60,000 people there. Mm-hmm. So we do have a complete mix of populations out there with a variety of problems.
Now, Jackson, in specific, is a town in transformation.
It is growing tremendously.
And there is a need for that. There is a need to be able to support the system with tax rateables, but there is also a need to maintain the sort of atmosphere,
yes,
and prevent overdevelopment. Have you had any stake in that game? Have you been monitoring what happens?
Well, of course, those kind of issues come up on a continuing basis in Jackson and most every town around. They need again to provide for growth, but at the same time be sure it's smart growth, and that you're able to maintain the culture and environment of the community.
How do you, in your position, advise that? How do you influence that? How do you bring your volume of knowledge into that municipal arena?
Well, of course, most of those decisions are local decisions made by the local planning board, the local zoning board, and so on. But sometimes during the hearings, new problems crop up that haven't been dealt with before. That's where the legislature comes in. Of course, also we do get calls from residents as well as developers and so on related to specific problems in a given area. We look at them and we can offer advice and so on. We do.
Let me just ask you one thing. There are, I have to figure, I think I read the figure somewhere, close to, there were thousands and thousands of bills that are drafted each year, each session. And only a minuscule amount of those ever are really enacted into law. What winners it down? How much harder is it to be a red guy in a blue state trying to get that done?
Well, I don't know. If it's hard, if you're in the minority, regardless of which party it is, the minority party always has more difficulty getting their legislation passed. But sometimes, hey, you got a good bill. Sometimes the other side will steal the bill, and they'll pass it. And the thing is to get it. If it's good and it needs to be done, the important thing is to get it done. It's nice to be the sponsor, but if somebody else takes it and gets it through, the work's done. So that's a significant thing. And then likewise, the majority party often puts through bills that you think are very bad. Well, you've got to carry the fight out there to see that bad legislation that doesn't get through. And that's the role we frequently play.
One of the bills that you're working on, it's S617, that would penalize renters and homeowners who violate affordability controls on affordable housing units. Now, aren't there any penalties for that now?
Well, there are regulations out there, but as we've seen with what has occurred out there, that there are violations occurring that aren't adequately encompassed by current legislation. So we're hoping to remedy that, to see that, when affordable housing is established, then it is appropriately utilized as affordable housing, and whatever requirements are out there are in place.
It's Ask the Senator. It's the debut issue tonight on WOBM AM. We'll be doing this once a month. Senator Sam Thompson is our guest this time around. We will feature all 6 from Ocean and Monmouth over the next 6 months. And then we'll start the rotation all over again. So you'll be back when it's cold.
That'll be fine.
And we will we'll take you. The phones are open, and so is our Twitter account. And you can email us too if you have any questions for him. I want to get into a couple of the committee assignments that you've got, because I can't find one that doesn't have a very pivotal issue going on right now. And I wanted to start with wagering. That's part of a larger committee,
Yes.
which has some tourism and a few other components attached to it. But what I'm looking at here is there are drives to legalize sports betting.
Yes.
There are, and that's something, by the way, that the legislature long before you got here turned down. Okay, they said, no, we don't want to be part of that, and there were reasons for that. But it's come back to haunt them now. There is a drive for multiple wagering at tracks and casinos and interconnecting those. We've seen what's happened in Atlantic City. We've seen how this city is going through a correction of its own. How much blood can you get from this stone? I mean, how many different ways can you expect people to bet on things? I mean, we've got online betting. It's flooding us. Who has the money for this?
Well, of course, part of the question right now, one of the biggest questions in that area right now, is the one that's been around a long time. Should casino casinos be able to be placed anywhere other than Atlantic City? Our Constitution at the moment limits it to Atlantic City. And there has been a push for quite a few years to permit casinos, for example, up in the Meadowlands. And there is a significant push going right now to do that. And as that push developed, then suddenly Jersey City said, oh, there should be a casino in Jersey City. And there is serious consideration to making some amendments. But when they did that, then some of the folks down here in our area, Monmouth, Ocean, and Middlesex said, hey, how about Monmouth Racetrack? Why shouldn't they be permitted to have some of these games, et cetera? So that's an ongoing discussion within the legislature at the present time. I think there is a good deal of impetus for expanding gambling outside of Atlantic City. And you say, isn't there only so much money? Well, yeah, there is only so much money, but what's happened is casinos that opened in New York and in Pennsylvania and so on, and they have taken business away from Atlantic City. Atlantic City used to draw people from New York down. They drew people from Philadelphia and Pennsylvania. It's quite a hike for them to get to Atlantic City.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you had casinos in the Meadowlands, you could draw from New York City and parts of New York, et cetera, as well as many people that are in the northern part of New Jersey who might now be going over to casinos in New York and other places. So you would get more. Those people are gambling right now. It's not increasing the total amount of gambling, but they're not going to Atlantic City to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be keeping that dollar in New Jersey.
Would any of this help Atlantic City at all in the long run?
The proposals generally are also suggesting that their revenue should be shared with AC.
Mm-hmm.
And we in Central Jersey here are saying Central Jersey should be considered too. You're going to take a break. We'll continue in a moment if that's okay with you.
That's just fine. But, you did my work for me just now. You do everybody's work. Senator Sam Thompson with us at Ask the Senator. We'll be back right after this.
Call now, 732-505-1160. Ask the Senator continues next. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310.
Pope Francis is coming to New York and Philadelphia this month, and everyone is preparing for his arrival, including the New Jersey Department of Transportation.
We want it to be.
Pope Francis is coming to New York and Philadelphia this month, and everyone is preparing for his arrival, including the New Jersey Department of Transportation.
We want it to be a visit to remember and have some tips to help you plan carefully in order to make your journey a safe one.
NJDOT has created a website, popenj.com, with the information you'll need to know.
The Pope's visit to Philadelphia is expected to draw millions of people. Much of Philadelphia will be closed to traffic, and the Ben Franklin Bridge will be closed to vehicles from Friday, September 25th through Monday, September 28th.
Many of our New Jersey approaches to Philadelphia will also be closed to traffic, including parts of Route 676 and Route 30 in Camden.
Mass transit will be your best option. Go to njtransit.com and click on the Papal Visit link for information about scheduling and tickets.
Special tickets are required and must be purchased in advance, but they're expected to sell out, so visit njtransit.com now to get yours.
Let's make the Pope's visit an event to remember.
Visit popenj.com for information from the New Jersey Department of Transportation, which is sponsoring this message in cooperation with the New Jersey Broadcasters Association and this station. Thank you.
At Preferred Home Healthcare and Nursing Services, their certified caregivers can provide a full array of personalized home care designed to enable clients to maintain dignity and independence in the privacy and comfort of their own home. Services are available on an hourly or live-in basis 24/7. For more information, call 1-800-603-CARE or visit preferredcares.com. Home health care with feeling.
At Preferred Home Healthcare, you're in preferred company.
Honey, wake up. You're going to be late.
All right.
Hi, this is Bill Stuber.
And Jennifer from Blue Ridge Heating and Cooling.
It's hard to get up for a job you don't like, isn't it?
I wouldn't know, Dad. Blue Ridge is an awesome place to work. Our family is growing again, and we want you to come grow with us. We built our reputation on providing honest, professional, good old-fashioned service. We are looking for installers and service techs. Want more money and a happier life?
Call Blue Ridge today, 732-341-5744.
Blue Ridge Heating and Cooling.
Paying off credit cards can get expensive, and it can be an endless hassle to get a loan at a bank, which is why there is now another way to get the money you need at a competitive fixed interest rate without the hassles, fees, and risks. It's called Avant. Your loan through Avant can be approved in minutes, and money can be in your account in as little as one business day. And unlike peer lending sites, there are no costly origination fees for unsecured loans or waiting up to a week for the funds. So if you need a small or a substantial loan, go to Avant.com to check your interest rate. We think you're going to like what you see. Right now, now, Avant will also give you a $50 Amazon.com gift card after your first installment is made on time. To check your rates with no effect on your FICO score and get this special offer, go to Avant.com today and enter promo code 9999 at checkout. That's www.avant.com, promo code 9999. Loans are made by web bank and affiliates of Avant Inc. Funds are deposited for delivery next business day if approved by 4:30 p.m. Central Time, Monday through Friday. Avant California loans are made under Finance Lenders License 603K124. Amazon is not a sponsor of this promotion. Other restrictions apply. See website for details.
Keep the questions coming. Call now, 732-505-1160. Follow the show on Twitter and tweet your questions at WOBM. Ask the Senator continues now on News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310 and WOBMAM.com.
Welcome back. Senator Sam Thompson is our guest, and you know him if you live in any of the surrounding counties, Ocean, Monmouth, Middlesex, and Burlington. He covers a little bit of each. We're, of course, competing with the governor right now.
Yes.
Are you comfortable with that? Are you comfortable competing with the governor right now?
I am. I'm not sure how comfortable he is competing with us.
I know he's sweating it out over there. Hey, now, let me just ask you, a Christie presidency. Let's dream a little bit. Okay, Christie is president. Does that do anything for New Jersey?
If he is president, yes, I believe it will.
How do you figure?
How do I figure? He will not forget where he came from. And, he knows as he goes there. The situation has always been that New Jersey gets 60 cents back on the dollar. Thus, the taxes that we send to Washington, we get back 60 cents on a dollar. And I think he will, when we make those arguments, New Jersey needs a little better treatment, that he will be amenable to it. Now, he's not going to be unfair to people, but I think, something that he just accomplished here in the last couple of days. He was bashed terribly over his having eliminated the ARC tunnel to New York. His reason for doing it, he said, was that, well, by golly, it looked like it was going to be a $5 billion overrun on that. And the deal that had been cut by the previous administration, New York wasn't putting a penny in the thing, and New Jersey was going to be responsible for this $5 billion overrun. And he said, that's not right. Well, the deal that he came up with Cuomo just the other day says New York now is agreeing to pay 50% of what the states have to put out. I think we made a significant gain from that. And, of course, they're also saying federal government put in at least 50%. So, yeah, they're both saying, let's move ahead. Let's get a new tunnel into New York and so on to serve both New Jersey and New York. But now let's be fair and equitable about who's going to pay for it. I think that was a significant accomplishment by him for the residents of New Jersey.
Senator Sam Thompson is our guest. And before we get any further, I just want to let you know that he's working on something that I don't think anyone has really explored yet, and that is establishing a real identity for the central part of the state, because most people just think of North Jersey and South Jersey, and everything in between is kind of this gray area. Tell us a little bit about how this came about.
Well, when I first got elected to the legislature, there were proposals to establish certain programs. And when they would bring it up, then immediately they'd talk about, okay, we're going to have this program. We'll establish one in North Jersey and one in South Jersey. And frequently, always the legislation was written that way. But I realized that when they do that, well, if you take Middlesex County, you take Monmouth County, you take Ocean County, Mercer County, and maybe one or two others, North Jersey says, no, we will not put it in any of those counties because they're not North Jersey. South Jersey says, no, we will not put it in any of those counties because they're not South Jersey. North Jersey considers it not North Jersey, South Jersey considers it not South Jersey, and we're left out. So I've said, well, we got to consider three reasons. We have Central Jersey, and recognize when you talk about, okay, we need to establish various units here and there in the state, we need to serve Central Jersey as well as North and South. So think of three instead of two. That way, Middlesex, Monmouth, Ocean, Mercer,
Burlington.
Burlington
Yeah, sure.
would be served rather than being left out. North Jersey is basically a Bergen, Essex, Hudson focus. South Jersey, basically Camden, Gloucester, Cape May focus, etc. We're not considered either one. So if they're not going to consider north or south, then all right, let's have three regions. Let's get our Central Jersey legislators working together to see that Central Jersey is given its fair consideration when all these programs are considered.
Have you been stirring this up with?
I've been talking to some of fellow legislators about it.
What kind of feedback are you getting?
Well, I think it's early on in the discussions, but I would think I'd be able to convince them that we should give more consideration to seeing that we're fairly treated.
They're not talking about that troublemaker Thompson coming back in here and stirring up action again, are they?
Nobody considers me a troublemaker. I talk to everybody and work with everybody.
Now, let me just move on for a second to the issue of the budget. We only have a minute here, but you're on the Budget and Appropriations Committee, so you've really been close to this entire morass that the state has been in. And I don't want to get into this now. We're going to be cutting out in a second for a news break. But I want you to think about what has transpired here, how you've been able to influence that, and what we can look forward to, because the state's in trouble. There is no doubt about it. It's up to guys like you to figure it out. So we want to see where you're going with that, okay?
Certainly.
Senator Sam Thompson is our guest. We'll be back. Stay with us.
Let Capitol Hill know what's on your mind. Call 732-505-1160. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310.
This is Marianne Levy, News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Broadcast from the Preferred Home Healthcare Studio. Since 1987, Preferred has offered the highest degree of care. Preferred Home Healthcare with feeling.
The Jersey Shore's news leader. Listen online at WOBMAM.com, on the Radio Pup app for smartphones and tablets, and on air at 1160 and 1310.
News Talk Radio, WOBM.
The dry weather pattern is going to continue into the upcoming weekend. Clear tonight with the low eventually dropping to the upper 50s to low 60s. A little bit of fog may form, and then into the afternoon on Thursday, expect sunshine at a high around 85. Temperature still be running above average on Friday, a sunny day with a high up into the low 80s. Sunshine Saturday, then a few clouds will drift in Sunday, and highs once again during the weekend should climb into the low 80s each day. I'm meteorologist Jeff Marr from the Weather Channel.
News Talk Radio, WOBM.
Listen to News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310 on the go with Radio Pup, the free mobile app that puts your favorite artists right at your fingertips. Powered by AutoLenders.com. Stay connected to the latest music, news, and weather information right from your smartphone. To get Radio Pup for free, head to RadioPup.com or download it in the iTunes Store or Android Marketplace. Powered by AutoLenders.com. There's never been a better time to check out all the low mileage, one owner, certified cars at AutoLenders. See the full selection at AutoLenders.com or at any of their 6 New Jersey locations.
Looking for a new career? American Institute can help you get the training you need for the career you want. Not another boring job. A career that's going to put you on the track to the life you want. American Institute's hybrid training approach means they offer the flexibility you want with online classes combined with the support and hands-on classes you need on campus. Plus, job placement after you graduate. Stop by American Institute today at 2363 Lakewood Road in the Walgreens Plaza in Toms River. Call 888-215-9109 or visit AITrainNow.com.
In 1 week, our car broke down and our roof started to leak. We really needed money for repairs.
I really needed to move to a bigger apartment, but with my credit card payments and other bills, I couldn't afford the security deposit.
When over 100,000 people needed money this year, they turned to Avant.
Avant was great. They relieved a lot of financial stress.
I was approved for a personal loan through Avant. The next day, I had $4,000 in my account.
Avant can get you the personal loan you need fast. It's simple to apply, and there's no risk because checking your rate with Avant has no effect on your FICO score. Right now, Avant will also give you a $50 Amazon.com gift card after your first installment is made on time. To check your rates risk-free and get this special offer, go to Avant.com today and enter promo code 8383 at checkout. That's www.avant.com, promo code 8383.
Loans are made by WebBank, a Utah industrial bank, equal housing lender, and by affiliates of Avant Incorporated. California loans offered by Avant will be made under financial lender's license number 603K124. Funds are generally deposited via ACH for delivery next business day if approved by 4:30 p.m. Central Time, Monday through Friday. Amazon is not a sponsor of this promotion. Other restrictions apply. See website for details.
Your voice can be heard on Capitol Hill. Call 732-505-1160 or tweet your question at WOBM. This is Ask the Senator. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310.
Welcome back, everybody. Tom Angeli with you this evening, and with me is Senator Sam Thompson, and with you, too. He's joined us for the inaugural edition of Ask the Senator. We'll have one a month. Just a program note, next week, Ask the Congressman returns, and this fellow who's bisects your area, Congressman Frank Pallone, will be here. And he'll be taking your calls. And then a week from tomorrow is the return of Town Square Tonight. And we'll have a couple of worthy charities that are going to be stepping off in Seaside Heights. One's a run and one's a walk, and they're both raising money for very good causes. We hope you'll be here for that. Senator, we left off just about to dive into the money woes we got here. The state's in the red. Transportation Trust Fund is going to run out of money. The budget is struggling. The credit rating is suffering. You've been at this. You're on the Budget and Appropriations Committee. And obviously, as you have pointed out many times, the biggest issue is the pension fund. Now, that's promised to people. But it's been kicked down the road and kicked down the road. And there are people who will be waiting for that. How do we get money back in this thing?
Well, again, we passed legislation back in 2011, which said that over a period of 7 years, we'd gradually phase in full contributions necessary to fully fund the pension. And, of course, that has been the big issue in the budget the last couple of years. Now, that plan was based upon the best projections that economists could come up with for us on what the status of our economy would be in the future years. And based on the projections they had at that time, they said we'd be coming out of the recovering from the recession we had, and they were projecting that by this past fiscal year, our revenues would be $3 billion more without any increase in taxes than they actually were. Had we had that additional $3 billion in revenue, putting the additional $1.5 billion in that would have been required by that plan would be no problem. In fact, we would have had an additional $1.5 billion available to increase aid to education, aid to municipalities, and many other good programs. But it did not happen. Consequently, virtually every program in the state was held constant, thus aid to education and so on, very little increase in anything, and there was not a $1.5 billion to go in the pension plan. However, I believe that we can sit down and get a new set of numbers. One factor that comes into play here is that in order to fund the pension plan, the money for the funding comes from three sources. It comes from employee contributions, employer contributions, and return on investment. Mm-hmm. The last year for which we have full data available was fiscal year 2014. It is projected for the plan they had that you needed an 8.9% return on investment. Fiscal year 2014, we had a 15% return on investment, which produced between $5 and $6 billion more than they needed for return on investment at that time. That's far more than the shortfall in what we had rolled to the budget for the pension plan in that year or even in the next year. I think we can sit down and we can recalculate these things and come up with some plan where we can fully fund the pension plan taking that into consideration, and maybe some adjustments in the pensions are out there. But we need people with good intentions, wanting to get there, to sit down and talk reasonably about it instead of just throwing out a bunch of rhetoric, which is what we primarily had so far.
All right, so let me make sure I have this straight. There was a 15% return on investment, and it's in the bank?
Well, the value of our portfolio, it was $80 billion. It increased by that amount.
Uh-huh.
When you say in the bank, we're talking about owning stocks or various investments.
Right.
So the value of the investments increased by that.
And so is there a way to
That's not the same as in the bank, because tomorrow value of investments can go the other way.
Okay.
In fact, when we talk about why we're in this pension problem, something most people don't realize that came out in the budget hearings, thus basically said that we're in this situation because the state hadn't put money in the pension plan for years. That's certainly a major factor. But what really got us in the situation was when we had the tech bubble about 2000 or 2001. Over the next 2 years, between 2001 and 2002, instead of 8.9% return on investment, the pension fund actually lost $10 billion in investments 1 year and $7 billion the next year, or $17 billion between 01 and 02. Now, if we had not lost that, if we had that $17 billion and it had been getting 8.9% return, that would account for the $40 billion deficit we've got, even if the state hadn't put any money in. But that's where the real loss came, was the market going down and not being able to have that money to keep growing. Then it was aggravated by the fact we didn't put money into the pension plans too.
When you saw that starting to happen, were there any alarm bells going off? Like, we've got to switch out of tech? We've got to
one of the consequences of that was they did study how their investments were made, and as a consequence of that, there have been significant diversifications in the investments that the pension plans do. Consequently, because of that change in investment strategy, when we had the recession of 2009, we did not have nearly those kind of losses on our investments that we had back there with the tech bubble, because they had expanded into other areas, and on some of those areas they went into, which prevented us having that big of a loss this time. There are others criticizing, oh, you're going over there and you're having to pay people for investment advice, et cetera. But that saved us from having severe losses when we had the recession recently.
Now, how does your committee interact with the treasurer to oversee all this? Is there some sort of connection here?
We do not oversee it.
No.
But we have them give us periodic reports and so on when we're at the budget time.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, there are reports issued periodically and et cetera, which are accessible to us or anyone else. But, on a month-to-month basis, we're not really looking at the budget every time. We pass the budget June 30th. That is the budget that's in place.
Right.
And we get periodic reports as to how revenue is comparing with projections and so on, likewise expenditures. But they always lag a bit behind where you're at.
All right. Now we go to the Transportation Trust Fund, which we all know is
it will be out of money. I think June 30th of next year.
Okay, so
and we must renew it.
Circling around that gas tax,
we must renew it. There's no alternatives.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you look at the condition of our roads and our bridges and so on, our needs for mass transit and so on, we have to renew it. And so far, there's only one viable alternative been offered, and that viable alternative is to increase the gasoline tax. Nobody wants to increase taxes, but sometimes you have to do it. And with the price of gas that's down to the present time, well, there's no better time to do it than right now. And better we get it done and get it out of the way than get down to the last minute and have all kinds of jockeying going on, and who knows what takes place. So, I think we should be moving on it now.
Is there any thought to alternative methods of funding this? Because, first of all, the price of gasoline, as you just pointed out, is subject to fluctuations. We're in a good period now. It'd be a great time to raise that tax, but when it goes back up again, then a lot of people who have to drive to work long distances are going to be in a lot of trouble. And on top of that, cars are getting more efficient. They're not using as much gas.
But the point is that to maintain our transportation system, does require like $1 billion or $1.25 billion, in addition to what our original budget is, et cetera. That is not there. Now, the reason Transportation System Trust Fund is running out of money is that, okay, we have passed gas tax in the past to fund it. But each time it's been passed, they really relied solely on that for the transportation needs. And consequently, in order to do that, well, they would pass bond issues to get the money now and are going to pay for it in the future. Consequently, the last gas tax increase has been committed. At this point, all of it's been expended to pay off the bonds that had already been issued. Over a 5-year period, they spent all the money that was coming from those bonds. So proposals are that if we go into this, we should also, when we're considering what the gas tax should be, we should go with a pay-go system, where you're not relying solely on the tax, so you don't have to bond it all out in 5 years, and 5 years from now will be right at the same point, but you use a part of it each year along with appropriations each year to meet the needs that you have.
That makes a lot of sense.
And how much of it comes from which source and the other, that's the things that have to be discussed and worked out.
Is that the kind of thing that's under discussion now?
Well, right now I'm not sure how much discussion is going on, but it's a thing that's going to have to be discussed and have to be worked out, and so we move forward.
Mm-hmm.
So when you do that, you see, what you're talking about is, well, do we increase the gas by 10 cents or do we increase it by 25 cents? Now, if you say there's a certain number of dollars you're going to have, somewhere between $1 billion and $1.25 billion. If you go 10 cents, that's not going to be enough to generate that billion or $1.25 billion unless you're going to run out and have all of it expended for the next 30 years in a 2 or 3 year period. If you go only 10 cents, then you're going to have to find more money from the budget to go in there to make up that $1 billion or $1.25 billion. If you go to 25 cents for the tax, then the amounts of money you have to get from other sources to fully fund it is diminished. So that's the balancing that you do here in deciding what would be the size of the gas tax increase.
Along with that, would there be, now I'm thinking of the trucking company, I'm thinking of the guy behind the wheel, I'm thinking about the guy who's got to drive to 2 jobs just to maintain a family and a house. I'm talking about, the buses, the private transportation firms, everybody who's got to go to that pump. Is there any concomitant idea to raising the minimum wage to a point where it's not going to hurt that much? Raising the tax is great, but is there a way to bring everybody's economy up to meet that tax, as opposed to just, well, here's more money I have to pay. Sorry about, your paycheck, but that's the breaks.
Those are two very different subjects, raising the minimum wage or whether to raise the gas tax. I mean, cost of living is continuously going up. So if we're looking at relative cost of living going up, with gasoline is just one item in that category. And when we speak of raising the minimum wage, you have to consider what is the potential impact on jobs, i.e., if the people who continue having jobs are making more money, but a significant number of people lose jobs because the people can't afford to stay in business anymore to pay the wages, then you have to do this balancing act here.
Yeah.
And one of the things about the arguments on minimum wage is that very frequently one of the arguments that's put forth most vehemently is you can't support a family of 4 on this. But, everybody doesn't have to support a family of 4. There are college kids, or high school kids, or single individuals, that people don't have any kids and so on. So everybody does not need to earn enough money to support a family of 4. So to suggest we should raise the minimum wage up so everybody can support a family of 4, no, that's not justified. Hey, when I was in high school, I worked at pool halls, I worked at malt shops, I worked at other places and so on. And quite frankly, nobody needed to pay me enough to support a family.
Mm-hmm.
And if by hiring me to do that, it made the price of the goods more affordable for people, then those people who are low income, it made them be able to afford the product. But if they had to pay me enough to support a family, then other people with low income would not be able to afford the product. And even aside from high school kids, I mean, there are a lot of people that they don't require as much funds as we speak of. Plus, nowadays, virtually every family has 2 working people, not just 1. So,
and that's the situation. Why is that? I mean, this is what I'm talking about, the vanishing of the middle class. There was a time in this state when one breadwinner could manage the house and bring in enough to support it. Now you got to have 2.
That may have been so, but I'm a bit older. Plus, I was around during World War II. And in the 1940s, both my mother and father had to work to support our family.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe not as many people had to in those days, but it's not something that is a 21st century thing. And why should we say only one person in the family has to work? Everybody else, the other spouse should always be able to stay home. I mean,
that's part of the American dream, is it not?
No, not really. Not today. The American dream is not today for one spouse to stay home. But you've got to take a break.
Well, I would give a lot for my spouse to be able to stay home, and I still can't do it. And actually, she likes working. She sees me less often, so it kind of works out. It's kind of a yin and yang thing going on. You're right. We are going to step out, and boy, this night is just flying by. I appreciate you stopping by. We have a few minutes left with Senator Sam Thompson, and we are going to spend them with you right after this. Stay with us.
More of Ask the Senator coming up next. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310.
Hello, I'm Anthony Marchetta, Executive Director of the New Jersey Housing and Mortgage Finance Agency. In the aftermath of Superstorm Sandy, we utilized federal recovery funds to create thousands of affordable rental apartments throughout the state. Sandy-impacted residents who were displaced or experienced major damage from the storm will receive priority. I encourage you to see what's available now at njhrc.gov. That's njhrc.gov.
This message sponsored by the New Jersey Housing and Mortgage Finance Agency, the New Jersey Broadcasters Association, and this station.
Tune in and listen to Lou Skatigna, host of the Financial Physician radio program, heard every Friday from 9 to 10 a.m. following Bob and Marianne. And now here's some great news. You can now listen to each week's show on the internet for a full week after the original broadcast. Just go to WOBMAM.com or thefinancialphysician.com and hear the Financial Physician anytime you want. And be sure to join Lou Skatigna each and every Friday at 9 a.m. for the Financial Physician, right here on News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310.
Now you can listen to Inside the Law anytime online at WOBMAM.com. Hosted by Robert Novi of Novi & Associates, your elder law attorneys, discussing topics like wills, estates, and various legal matters. Listen to Inside the Law at your leisure 24/7 by visiting the homepage at WOBMAM.com and clicking on the Inside the Law button. Now, 2 ways to hear Inside the Law. Every other Saturday morning on WOBM AM 1160 and 1310 or anytime at WOBMAM.com.
Fact, you probably know someone affected by heart disease or stroke. Fact, 80% of cardiac events could be prevented if people took better care of themselves. So join News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310 at the American Heart Association, American Stroke Association Shoreline Heart Walk on Sunday, September 27th at First Energy Park in Lakewood. Help raise funds to support living a longer, stronger life while fighting heart disease and stroke. Visit shorelineheartwalk.org or call 609-208-0020. Subway is a national sponsor of the Heart Walk.
Do you have $10,000 or more in outstanding federal student loans? Well, you may qualify to have your entire student loan forgiven with one free call. That's right. If you're a teacher, nurse, police officer, firefighter, or work for a nonprofit, then you may qualify for new federal programs to have your entire student loan forgiven. The Student Loan Council wants to give you free information on all the programs that can help, and the sooner you call, the faster they can help. Get the maximum loan forgiveness, loan reduction, or consolidation available. Plus, find out in the first free call what you qualify for. A loan forgiveness specialist is standing by to answer all of your questions for free. So stop worrying about your student loan payments. If you have more than $10,000 in federal student loans, this information could change your life. Call 800-579-4409. 800-579-4409. Completely wipe out your federal student loan debt. Find out how. 800-579-4409. That's 800-579-4409.
From Ocean County to our nation's capital, talk to your senator right now. 732-505-1160. Follow the show on Twitter and tweet your questions to @WOBM. Ask the Senator on News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310 and WOBMAM.com.
Welcome back. Tom Angeli with you tonight. And Senator Sam Thompson, we have a few minutes left together, and that's going to be the end of the inaugural broadcast here. Appreciate you coming in. It's been a real education, and I'm not done with you yet. Before we get into it, though, let me just ask you, you are on close to 10 committees and commissions, and you're working in Middlesex County with the Republican Party there and overseeing that. You're going from town to town in your district. You're a full-time legislator. What do you do to unwind?
What do I do? What?
What do you do to unwind?
I sit and talk to you.
That's it. This is it.
That's it.
Oh, well, I must be one heck of an interviewer then if you're relaxing doing this.
No, to me, actually, my motto is people ask me about vacation and so on. I don't take vacation because to me, work is vacation and vacation is work. I'm much more comfortable working than I am at vacation. I get restless on vacation.
Well, okay. We're going to wrap up here with one area that we haven't explored yet, which is energy and environment. You're part of that committee. And those two components come at loggerheads in the Pinelands. There's a crossroads there. The battle continues over this natural gas line project, which would run from the west to the east, which would, as I understand it, convert a coal-burning plant into a non-coal-burning energy plant. Okay. Why does it seem to me that when the Pinelands was first designated, the boundaries were more solid than they are now? I'm sensing a slippery slope here. Not just there, but I'm looking at the move for a liquefied natural gas terminal out on the coast. I'm looking at the Obama administration and the opportunity to parcel out offshore waters off the East Coast for drilling. Where do we draw the line on something like this? When is the Pinelands, where do you draw the line and say, okay, here and no further? Is there a way to do that?
Mm-hmm. Well, when you get into these questions, you have to consider benefit versus the negatives and see which outweighs each in each case. I mean, you even throw in offshore drilling. I grew up in Louisiana, so I know what offshore drilling is. I know what it is out there. I know there's potential hazards and so on, et cetera. But you have to look at your needs and balance you do everything you can to protect the health and safety of the residents, and at the same time, you also have to consider the economic well-being and so on, and you balance one against the other, and you see which way the scales go, and you do what you think is most beneficial for our people. Thus, when you speak of the pipeline they're talking about running through the Pinelands to convert this coal-fired plant into a gas-fired plant. Well, on the one hand, we're concerned about air pollution and so on, global warming, and obviously this is something they're saying you need to do to combat that.
Yeah,
and
that's
get away
the
with
irony.
the cone burning plant.
And that's the total irony.
People are concerned about pipelines because you have a risk that you might have an accident or a rupture or so on. But we want energy, and no question, fossil fuel will always be a major component of our energy. We are shifting more to renewables and so on. And as long as we do need fossil fuels, you got to transport them. And so are you going to transport them by pipeline? Are you going to transport them by train? And people are concerned about trains running through here and there. And somewhere or other, you have to make your decision what you're going to do and what is most beneficial or least harmful and so on. Or else you say, well, we cannot say tomorrow, we're not going to have any fossil fuels. The country would shut down. So therefore, these are with each issue that comes up, you have to take these into consideration. And see which is most beneficial to our population and so on, in making decisions.
Senator Sam Thompson is with us. We're coming down to the closing minutes here. So let me just ask you, out of the blue here. Okay, Governor Christie he's on the clock now. He's on his way out. Who do you see as a Republican that can step up to that? You're not interested in that, right?
Well, we have several good potential candidates on the horizon here. Of course, we have Lieutenant Governor Kim Cordano.
Lieutenant Governor.
She's done a great job in the capacity she's had. We can expect to see her to be a leading contender if she chooses to seek the election. We have our Republican leader in the Senate, Tom Kaine. Tom has done a fantastic job there in the minority fighting and so on to get things done. We have John Bramnick over on the Assembly side, has done a great job. The conservatives will like Doherty. Matt Doherty, Doherty has been a real leader on the conservatives. You will have some of the stronger conservatives coming out there. Then you always have the potential that, like the Democrats, we may have some wealthy Republican who decides they want to jump in, but that's an unknown factor out there.
Senator Sam Thompson, thank you very much for being with us tonight.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And you're coming back, too.
Anytime.
All right. Ask the Senator is a presentation of Town Square Media, New Jersey Shore News Division. Our producer and screener is Zach Collins. The video and digital services are by Tom Tremblay. Programming coordination, Steve Artolino. The director of Town Square Media News Jersey Operations is Eric Scott. And technical coordination also by Brad Bruscato. Thank you for joining us. Have a great evening. We'll see you next week.
You've been listening to Ask the Senator, a presentation of WOBM News on News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310 and WOBMAM.com. WOBM Lakewood Township, WADB Asbury Park. Live from the Preferred Home Healthcare Studio, News Talk Radio, WOBM